welcome to lesson 6 of our free computer repair and general training program. Today we're going to be taking a look at breaking down the features of a processor. Now, there's kind of two main numbers that we're most familiar with, right, with processors. So there's megahertz and bus speed. And understanding them, I typically use a highway or a car example because a lot of people are familiar with that. And so in the lesson, I more specifically explain what it is. But bus speed, imagine a road or a highway, and you have megahertz and bus speed. Megahertz is kind of like how fast the cars can travel on that road, while bus speed would maybe best be described as how many lanes is the highway. So bus speed refers to how much data can move across a bus at one time. And then megahertz is kind of like at what speed. So that's why, let's say, a 3.0 megahertz processor with a lower bus speed might not perform as well as, let's say, a 2.4 with a higher bus speed. So they both matter. And then in the lesson we talk a little bit about cores. Now we're into this dual core, core 2, quad core. And basically in the simplest terms, an extra core is kind of like having two processors. So, the last computer I bought was, I think, 3 gigahertz, Pentium 4. And then that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And I just bought a new laptop, which is what I'm doing this video on, and I think this is a 2.4 gigahertz, but it's a dual core. So essentially, it's like having two 2.4 gigahertz processors. As you just jump up to quad core, it can get very expensive. So budgetary restraints don't always allow us to get the best in processors, but in general terms, dual core is better than core 2, and quad core is better than all of them. For most people, you'll never really notice a difference unless you are someone who does a lot of video or gaming, um, you know, uh, anything that's processor intensive. So lesson 6 is just a little bit about understanding the processor. So you've got your megahertz, your bus speed, and then your cores. There are also things like cache. When you're looking at a processor, it will have something like L1, L2, or L3 cache, and each cache is responsible for something. And specifically, it doesn't really matter. I think one's for other instruction, one's for data, and one's for translation. The rule of thumb is the bigger cache you have, the better. But most processors, there's not really a lot of variety in cache. You kind of just get what you get. So if you have any questions about processors, make sure you hit the forum link below here and sign into the forum. Introduce yourself, start asking questions. Forum's been great. We're getting lots and lots and lots of helpful tips and new moderators that make sure we get people's questions answered quickly. So that's the end of lesson 6. And we look forward to seeing you in lesson 7.